You know what's more satisfying than winning? Winning while your rivals are convinced you're bending the rules and still can't catch you doing it. In 1968, one mechanic discovered a way to squeeze 5 extra laps out of a NASCAR stock car without adding a bigger fuel tank, without illegal additives, without a hidden cell. Officials stripped his machine down 17 different times, hunting for the trick. They never truly pinned it on him. Rewind to Charlotte Motor Speedway, 1967. The green flag waves. 43 cars dive into turn 1 at nearly 160 miles per hour. By lap 50, crews are already signaling drivers to pit for fuel. Everyone understands the math. Everyone except one team. One car just keeps circulating. Crew chiefs start doing calculations on pit boxes. Something's wrong. That car should have sputtered dry laps ago. When it finally pits, it takes on less fuel than physics says it should. Inspectors swarm it. They measure the tank. They search for hidden compartments. They probe the frame. Nothing. Because the advantage wasn't something added, it was something interpreted. This is the story of Smokey Yunick, perhaps the most inventive rule reader motorsports has ever seen, and the infamous 1-1-foot fuel line that forced NASCAR to rewrite its own rulebook. The world Smokey operated in. To grasp the brilliance, you have to understand 1960s NASCAR. Manufacturers fought for bragging rights under the slogan, "Win on Sunday, sell on Monday." The regulations were designed to keep competition tight and costs under control. The rule book was clear. Fuel tank, 22 gallons maximum. Fuel line, must run from tank to engine. Simple. Or so everyone assumed. A typical stock car in 1967 burned roughly 4 miles per gallon at race speed. With 22 gallons, you could run about 88 miles. On a 15-mile oval, that meant around 58 laps per tank. Strategy revolved around that number. Every team trusted the math. Smokey questioned the wording. A mechanic who thought like an engineer. Born in 1923, Smokey sharpened his mechanical instincts as a B-17 bomber mechanic during World War II. When your job is keeping aircraft alive over hostile skies, you learn to obsess over systems and to look beyond obvious solutions. After the war, he opened a garage in Daytona Beach and soon became one of NASCAR's most respected builders. But while others skimmed the rulebook, Smokey dissected it like an attorney hunting for ambiguity. The key detail? The rules limited tank capacity to 22 gallons. They said nothing about the size or length of the fuel line. Most teams used standard 3/8-inch lines, maybe 6 feet long. Smokey built one from 2-inch steel tubing. Then he routed it everywhere, through frame rails, across structural members, looping inside the chassis, hidden in plain sight. 11 feet of 2-inch tubing, do the math. And that line alone held nearly 1.8 gallons of fuel. During inspection, the 2-gallon tank sat bone dry, perfectly legal. Inspectors measured it and moved on. What they didn't account for? The fuel already sitting inside that massive line. Once inspection ended, the crew filled the tank with 22 gallons. Combined with the fuel in the line, the car rolled to the grid carrying nearly 24 gallons. At 4 miles per gallon, that meant roughly 7 extra miles, about 5 additional laps at speed. In a 500-mile race, 5 laps is a lifetime. Cold fuel and creative physics. Smokey didn't stop there. He began chilling fuel before filling the tank. Cold gasoline is denser. As it warms during the race, it expands. Fill a tank with near-freezing fuel, and as temperatures rise, you effectively gain usable volume. Between the oversized line and temperature tricks, his cars could approach 25 gallons of effective fuel capacity, all while technically complying with written regulations. Competitors were baffled. Drivers like Junior Johnson, himself known for pushing boundaries, later admitted they tore their own cars apart, searching for similar secrets, never thinking to scrutinize the fuel line. After one dominant showing at Daytona 500, officials practically dismantled Smokey's car piece by piece. They found the large line, but the rulebook didn't prohibit it. NASCAR founder Bill France Sr. faced a dilemma. Everyone knew Smokey was operating on the edge, but he wasn't breaking written rules. So NASCAR rewrote them. The escalation. Officials limited fuel line diameter. Smokey built lines that complied internally but exploited external tolerances. They restricted outer diameter. He pivoted to thermodynamics. They checked fuel temperature. He engineered systems that swapped between cooled and ambient fuel after inspection. They mandated fuel routing. He integrated storage into return systems and structural components. In one case, he acid-thinned a stock floor pan to near paper thickness to meet regulations, then installed a reinforced secondary floor beneath it that doubled as a hidden fuel cell. The stock floor was technically still there, visible if you looked closely. Each time NASCAR closed a loophole, Smokey exposed another. By 1970, the fuel system section of the NASCAR rulebook had expanded dramatically, largely in response to him. Beyond NASCAR. What made Smokey remarkable wasn't just cleverness. It was systems thinking. His distributed fuel concepts reduced slosh. Internal baffling improved handling. Cooling methods influenced later fuel management strategies in endurance racing and beyond. Former crew chief Dale Inman later admitted that competing against Smokey forced everyone to elevate their game. Every trick demanded smarter engineering from the entire field. Smokey's philosophy was simple. The rulebook tells you what you cannot do. Everything else is fair game. That mindset now defines modern motorsport. Series like Formula One employ entire departments dedicated to regulatory interpretation engineers whose sole job is to explore gray areas. Today's NASCAR rules are hundreds of pages long. In the 1960s, they were thin pamphlets. That expansion? Much of it traces back to Smokey Yunick. The real legacy. Modern race cars use standardized fuel cells, sealed systems, and electronic monitoring. The era of hiding capacity in steel tubing is gone. But Smokey's true impact wasn't an 1-foot line. It was a mental shift. Before him, teams chased horsepower. After him, they chased interpretation. He proved competition isn't just mechanical, it's intellectual, it's legal, it's philosophical. When Smokey passed away in 2001, motorsport lost a rebel. But every time a team finds a gray area and forces officials to clarify a rule, his influence echoes. There's an old NASCAR saying, "If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying." Smokey would have corrected that. He wasn't cheating. He was reading more carefully than anyone else. And in racing and in life, sometimes that's the ultimate advantage. And that's what made Smokey different. He didn't overpower the competition. He didn't outspend them. He outthought them. While everyone else was staring at horsepower charts and lap times, he was staring at the rulebook, searching for the spaces between the words, the gray areas, the opportunities no one else even realized existed. The 1-foot fuel line is long gone. The loopholes are sealed. The rulebooks are thicker than ever. But the mindset? That lives on. Because in racing and honestly, in life, the real advantage doesn't always come from breaking the rules. Sometimes it comes from understanding them better than anyone else. If you enjoyed this story of motorsport genius and calculated rebellion, make sure you hit subscribe for more deep dives into the minds that changed racing forever. And remember, it's not always about what the rules forbid. It's about what they forgot to mention. I'll see you in the next one.